Hello everybody, Dakian here with another Monday update for you all about my painting progress. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but I have a slight cold. I'll try my best not to cough and sneeze my way through this video. If I do start coughing, I'll probably have to cut and reshoot. Anyway, what you're looking at here is the miniatures I painted to a higher standard this week. In the front we have some Frostgrave constructs. If we compare them to the, let's see here, artwork, mine is perhaps a bit darker in coloration, but it's essentially the same sort of thing. And compare this one. Yeah, they made theirs a bit lighter and redder in tone. And where's the stone construct? I chose some different colors. They chose some light colors. I chose some darker greens and other variant tones for the rock monster. But I had some snow because, again, these are Frostgrave minis, so they should have some snow in their bases. Now, these GW minis, this was kind of tricky because the artwork was quite, painted a challenging picture. If you can tell, all these little blue segments, they've painted each individual little facet as its own gemstone, which is rather insane. I've tried to do something similar, but you know, not quite to the same extent, perhaps, and made a few different color choices. Then I painted the Mummy Queen to match somewhat color-wise. Yeah. Anyway, that's how those turned out. Let's look at something not so well painted. And ta-da! We have the final squad of Zulus, the last 10. And as I promised, I painted them with blue in white shields. Now, if you've been paying close attention, you probably still won't see any difference, but if I were to put one of the others right next to these, let's see, I'll take one of each from over here. Here we have a red and a green shield, and I think you can see that the latest ones look maybe a little bit more matte than the others, especially on the metallics. And the reason for that is that they were painted at different periods in time, a couple of weeks apart, and they were varnished at different points in time under different atmospheric conditions. When I did this latest batch, it was a lot colder, and that led to a slight effect of what we in the painting biz call frosting. This is why, for example, the skin looks less red and the hair looks more sort of gray than the blue-black on the others. And I've tried to bring it back a little bit by doing a brush on of satin varnish, and that brought a little bit of shine back, because I want the sheen, especially on the skin, because it would not be completely matte. But yeah, I couldn't make it match completely. That's just the risk you take when you have a big project like this and you stretch it out over such a long period of time. But, you know, at least it's done. And again, I don't suppose a lot of people will notice if I just plonk all 30 of them on the table. It'll just be a little something extra to add some variety, maybe. I hope. But anyway, that is the Zulus laid to rest.
So this is the current state of all the stuff that's been started. A bunch of base coats laid out on the demons and the remaining 2 golems from the Frostgrave set, and the basing work has been done. A little more done on this necromancer. Very little done on these guys. I don't know. They're not inspiring me right now. We'll see. I'll get around to them eventually. And here's the cultists I showed you in their unassembled state last week. I've assembled all of them, even though putting on the weapons slightly obscures some of the body, especially on the standard bearer. If I was going to do a really nice paint job on this, I would probably have left the standard and the arms off because they were separate. However, because this is going to be a tabletop standard, I don't really care that much. Also, I should note on this guy, a lot of these are a bit forward heavy, but only this one needed to be counterweighted. I glued some bits of metal into the bottom of the base in the back here to help with that. It doesn't solve all of it. If this had been a plastic model, it would have solved the problem. As it is, it's just helping a bit, mitigating it. And as you can see, I've primed them, and I've done the very first thing I almost always do on a model after priming, which is put a base coat on the base, just to separate visually the model from the base a little bit so I can see in my mind's eye what's what. I should know, it's kind of curious, only this guy is holding the scythe like I imagine someone actually would. These 2 guys are holding it more like they're going to use it to hook something, rather than cutting. Not really sure, but this is the only way the arms could possibly attach, so this has to be what the sculptor intended. Oh well. Cultists are weird.
Alright, so let's have a look at what's next on my agenda. I thought I've got a lot on my plate still, a lot of small models, so I thought I'd start a few big ones. Like, I kind of liked how the snakes I painted last time turned out, so I have more. Another giant snake, it's the same name, giant snake, but it's a different model, also from Reaper. And the giant cobra from Reaper, which is a single piece model. This one is a 2-piece. I think the head is different. I don't know if I mentioned the other giant snake I painted that had 2 optional heads, and I chose the less normal one. I think this one only has 1 option. And this is not quite a snake, but almost. It's not a purple worm, but almost. It's something similar, some sort of burrowing worm-like creature. It just looks really cool, is all. Also, I thought I'd throw this into the mix, which is the little Reaper Bones mini I got as a bonus with my Halloween order you saw a few weeks ago. And because Christmas is approaching, namely next week when these are prepped will start in November, but it will end in December. And so I want to get started on something Christmas related. This is a bonus mini I got last Christmas when I did an order in December from Reaper. And it's kind of hard to tell what it is, but it's a pile of presents and there's a small dragon lying on top of them. So that's kind of cool. And just for the heck of it, I thought I'd do these treasure tokens. These are Frostgrave treasure tokens that came with the last supplements. I showed them to you in a previous video. And that's quite enough to be going on with, I think. Let's see what else is happening and what's new in my arrivals.
And it's that time of the video again where I show you some new stuff. This week we have the arrival of a Kickstarter campaign. These are the Wizard's Apprentices from Midland Miniatures. And they are a collection of 7 magic user figures that are not fully trained. So, see, they're holding their wands a little uncertainly. And they should probably be straight, but still. And very hurriedly reading from a book. And this guy has a lot on his reading list. Cramming for an exam, perhaps. And here we have somebody uncertain about his chemical experiments, or alchemical, I should say. It's more likely. And here's another person. I think this is a lady student with a big pile of library books. And finally, somebody practicing. Is he holding some small familiar? Is it a little frog or something? I don't know what he's trying to do with the poor frog, but anyway. These are all very amusing. And yeah, because they're sort of general use fancy miniatures, I'll probably get around to painting them sooner rather than later. It won't be too long. But that was that. That was this week's episode of my rambling. I hope you enjoyed it. Click the like button if you did. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Leave a comment if you feel the need to comment. I'm always happy when you do. And I will see you next week. Until then, I'm Dakian, and I'm signing off.